I'd like to encourage you to open your Bibles up to Matthew chapter 21. Matthew chapter 21, and we're going to notice this evening verses 23 to 27. Now, just prior to these verses, we read about Jesus entering into Jerusalem, and he is going to cleanse the temple. This is the second time in his public ministry that he does this. He does it at the beginning of his earthly ministry, and then here in the final week leading up to the crucifixion, he cleanses the temple once more. He drives out the money changers, those that were selling animals. He tells them that this house should be a house of prayer, but you've turned it into a den of thieves or of robbers. Well, a day passes. The scribes, the chief priests, they have been mulling this over, wondering about how can we destroy him? How can we bring ruin to him? How can we get back at him the best? And here is their effort. But you'll see how easily Jesus thwarts this effort. And he really turns the tables onto them. Notice what's written. Matthew 21, verse 23. And when he was come into the temple, the chief priest and the elders of the people came unto him as he was teaching, and said, By what authority dost thou these things, and who gave thee this authority? That's the best they could come up with. They've worked on this all night. How can we discredit him? How can we get at him? And this is their best effort. We're going to question his authority. What gives you the right to do what you've done in cleansing the temple? Well, Jesus has dealt with these individuals on many occasions. Notice what he does. Verse 24, And Jesus answered and said unto them, I also will ask you one thing, which if you tell me, I in likewise will tell you by what authority I do these things. In other words, I'll answer your question if you will answer mine. He knows that their intention is just to try to trap him, to try and find some fault. He knows they are not seriously inquiring what his authority is. Here's his question to them, verse 25. The baptism of John, whence was it? From heaven or of men? And they reasoned within themselves, saying, If we shall say from heaven, he will say unto us, Why did ye not then believe him? But if we say, or shall say of men, we fear the people. For all hold John as a prophet. This is a powerful question. And I know it's not the subject that we're dealing with tonight, but folks, when it comes to any matter of religion, this ought to be the question that we ask. What Jesus asked about John's baptism. Is it from heaven or is it from men? If it's from men, let's discount it. If it is from heaven, let's submit unto it. But they said this. They answered Jesus and said, We cannot tell. And he said unto them, Neither tell I you by what authority I do these things. If you're not going to be honest and answer my question, I'm not going to waste time answering yours. But he shows how insincere they really were in coming unto him. And you see how easily he turns things around onto them. But I want you to think about what they did here. They reasoned, if we say that John's baptism was from heaven, he's going to say, why didn't you obey him? If we say it's from men, we're going to make the people upset. So it was a question they just didn't want to deal with at all. I'm sure that all of us have experienced things which we just didn't want to deal with at the time. Parents, maybe children have come and wanted this matter answered or this problem settled. And you just have to say, go sit down somewhere. Go play. Get out of here. I can't deal with this right now. Or maybe at work things like that come up. Someone can see a problem that's going to come up down the road. And I just don't want to have to deal with it right now. We'll deal with it, but just not right now. That's what they did. They didn't want to have to deal with this question. And I bring that to our attention because I believe that many people, when it comes to the invitation of Christ, respond in the same way. I just don't want to have to deal with that question right now. Maybe you're here tonight as someone who has not obeyed the gospel, but you're here on a regular basis. You know the truth. You're here because you want to learn more of God's will. You know what you need to do to be saved, but maybe you just don't want to deal with the question. Not right now. Well, I hope that something in your heart will change so that you'll deal honestly with that question. This invitation of Christ to come unto Him, because to not deal with it is really a rejection. And no right-thinking person would want to be thought of as a person who has rejected the invitation of Christ. Don't make the mistakes that these scribes and these chief priests made those many years ago. They just didn't want to deal with the question. That doesn't make it go away. And this invitation of Christ to obey Him or to come back to Him, folks, it's not going away. We need to deal with it honestly. And the only answer that is going to please heaven is us responding in obedience to the gospel. And so tonight, if you're here and you've not yet obeyed the gospel, we want to encourage you to take that step. If you have, but you've fallen away and you need to come back, we want to pray with you and for you. Don't leave here thinking, I just don't want to deal with it right now. Deal honestly with this. It is the invitation of Christ extended to you. And we want to encourage you to respond as together we stand and as we sing.